All right, we are here today with Michael Pitts. Man, thanks so much for being part of our class.
Yeah, Brian, appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so you're oh, there's the bell. You're my wife's cousin, so that makes you my cousin-in-law, or I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah,
and you live in Oklahoma.
that's
You
true.
grew up in Dallas Fort Worth. You went to Richardson Berkner, right? And
Yes,
then
sir.
went to A&M, and now you're up in the Tulsa area, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you went and you bought a or you rented a duplex. You rented one side of it. How did that all happen?
So we started out when we moved up here. We moved up for work, and we were just looking for a place to rent initially. And we moved into this place and really started to like it. And about 3 months into it, our landlord sent out an email and he said, "Hey, I'm looking to sell the duplex. Just wanted to let you know, like we don't think that you've got to move out, but we just want you to know that there's going to be some new owners." So we emailed them back that same day after we talked about it, and we asked him if we could buy it, and so he said, "Yeah, let's start talking." So we made an offer, and we're able to buy it from him.
Okay, and so why buy a duplex? Why not just go buy a single family house?
So at the time, Chloe and I weren't making a lot of money. That's really where this starts. We weren't making a lot of money, but we had enough to buy a duplex, and we kind of ran the numbers, and we were thinking, okay, if we buy a single family home, our entire mortgage, it just kind of goes right out the door. It goes to the bank, goes to the mortgage company, mortgage holder. If we own a duplex, though, you can pass off a lot of that cost onto your renters on the other side. So we kind of ran the numbers, and at the time, if our mortgage was so much, our renters were going to be able to pay like 2/3 of our mortgage. So it really cut our monthly note down by a lot, so that we could live for a heck of a lot cheaper. We also saw COVID coming up, and we knew that Chloe's hours were going to be cut a little bit because she works in the physical therapy world. So
No.
just kind of, it was more of a financial decision. If it was a single family home, we wouldn't be getting any income out of it. If it's a duplex, there's really not much more upkeep in owning a duplex than there is in a single family home, but we'd be getting somebody to pay a majority of our mortgage for
Right,
us.
like, and if you had like a single family house, I guess you could rent out a room, but that's kind of like invading your
Yeah,
space. So like having a
right.
duplex next door will be a better option. So can you give me numbers here? What's your mortgage payment? What's the renter next door paying you?
Yeah, and it's actually changed a lot through COVID. It's gone up quite a bit. When we initially started, our mortgage was 1650 a month, and the neighbors were paying 1200. So do that.
Wow, that's fantastic for you guys.
Yeah, it helped out a lot. So we only had to come up with whatever that is, 350 or $400 to cover the rest of the mortgage for the month. But we've got a fully, a house with a big backyard, a 2-car garage, 2 bedrooms. That's one of the things about duplexes. You're not typically going to find a 4-bedroom duplex on each side. So we've got 2 bedrooms here, but we've got a really big living room, really big den, a breakfast nook. So there's plenty of space here, full backyard for the dogs. But yeah, 1650, they were paying 1200, and then COVID changed things. Everything appreciated quite a bit. So when they redid our taxes and our insurance, it's gone up now to 1850 a month. But we've gone up on the neighbors 1450. So we kind of passed that along to them.
Staying on the right side of inflation. That's good, sir. That's what we talk about a lot in my class. Okay, so you move, so you're in this property, you're renting it, you decide to buy it, and I'm gonna click over to the property here so students can see what we're talking about.
Sure.
Here is the property that you own, and the duplex. And are you on this side or are you on this side over here?
On the other side, yep, it's like an L shape. So that side that you're looking at there is the neighbor's half, and we
Okay.
are on the other side.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're living on the other side, and there's a tenant that you just inherit in the deal because you're buying the property and there's already a tenant living there. How did that all work? Did you get the paperwork for them, or how did that work?
Yep. We took over their lease. The previous landlord just gave us their lease, the paperwork, signed paperwork. There may have been a little bit of a more official way to transfer the lease over, but that's how we did it. He just gave us the lease, and he says this is what they've agreed to.
Okay.
Um, so when it came time to renew their lease, a 1-year lease, when it was up, we told them we were going to raise rent, and they were not okay with that, so they decided to leave.
How much
So
how much how much were you gonna raise their rent?
I think at that point we were only asking for another $100. I think they were at 1050, and we were trying to come up to either 1150 or 1200. So it may have been $150 we were
How
trying.
did you, why did you think that you could raise the rent? What was there something in the market that you thought was going up or something?
Definitely looking at other houses, other friends that had moved to the area. 1050 was very low for this house, and it's a house it's in really good shape. It's a great part of town, so we just knew that we could get 1200 out of it at the time, and we could. After she left, I had a friend from work that was looking for a place to live, and she moved in at the 1200 price. So
Okay.
we had her in there for an additional 2 years after that.
Okay. And so your friend from work moves in, and that's always a little bit of a, I mean, I've had friends of mine who've rented rooms from me or who've rented a place from me. It can be a little tricky, right? Like you had some, was it an easy process, or what happened?
At the beginning, it was easy, and I've always heard growing up, don't mix business with friendship.
Right.
And we learned that lesson firsthand. At the beginning, it was easy. She'd come over for dinner, and we would hang out with her, and it was just a good friend to have right next door to you. A couple things started happening. It seems like she got in a tight spot in her life, and so she started to kind of I don't know, be a little bit more of a difficult tenant
Yeah.
than what we were expecting. So started to complain about things that weren't in our control as the landlord. Even
Like
like
what?
circuit breakers flipping. She'd get on to me about when she flipped a circuit breaker. Well, that's definitely a tenant's responsibility to go check your circuit breaker, right? And little things like that. The yard, she'd start complaining about the yard. The grass was too tall, but so it just got a little toxic where she would complain about anything and everything. So we were like, all right, we need to figure out what to do here. But we made another mistake. Not only did we mix business with friendship, but we had let our lease lapse, and we had only renewed on a verbal basis. So you definitely need to
You
get an
had, you had an
official.
initial lease with her, like a paperwork signed by both
Yes, sir.
parties initially, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
And then when the first year came and time to renew and sign another lease with better dates, um, we just did it verbally because she was a friend. We were like, okay, we'll just continue on the old lease terms, but we didn't have it in writing, didn't have a new signature. So started to get a little worried, like, okay, how do we now go about this? If we're ready for her to leave,
Yeah.
and she's obviously ready to leave, how do we go about getting her out if we don't have a signed paper trail saying that these are the terms of the lease?
And she wanted to move out.
She did, but she wanted to make it difficult on us.
Why?
We could tell she was on her way out, and her mom was living with her at the time as well. And her mom needed to stay for a little while longer because her mom was looking to buy a home. Daughter was going to move to Colorado or something like that. So daughter wanted to leave, but she wanted to leave, after trying to stick it to us a little bit. And then she wanted to make sure that her mom was taken care of for the remainder of her mom's stay there.
Why was she, just because the circuit breaker? Was there other issues that were like, it's got to be weird living next door to your tenant though, too, right?
It is, yeah. And see, that's the thing. They were all just little petty things that turned into bigger issues, right? And we could never exactly figure out why it turned south, but it
Okay.
did. So we had to figure out how to get out of it now. And without a signed lease and a termination date, how do we do that exactly?
Yeah.
So we kind of looked up some information on that online, and it's really not that difficult. Where it becomes difficult is if they do enter the realm of squatters, right? If you've
Right.
squatted at a property for so long, then you have rights to that property. Well, luckily we weren't at that point yet. So there is a clause in Oklahoma, and it's different in different states. But in Oklahoma, it says, even if you're just on a verbal agreement, as long as you give them 30 days head notice, you are still within your right to kick somebody out of your house. So
Okay.
we really weren't that far out, but it got a little questionable there for a while. Like uh, what are we going to do here? But
Yeah.
until we found that little nugget of information, we were trying to kind of baby this situation to get her to move out on her own, so that we didn't have to get an eviction notice, so that we didn't have to get the law involved. We didn't want to take it that far, because at the end of the day, I mean, she was a peer, she was a friend, and we wanted to treat it kindly,
Yeah.
but we also wanted her out.
Did you ever consult an attorney or anything?
No, that would have been a good thing to do, but we did not because that costs money, right? So
Does.
I reached out to some folks. I think I gave you a call if I
Yeah,
remember right.
right.
Yep. So just people that have been down this road before. That's who I spoke with.
Okay.
And yeah, ended up working out just fine. We gave her a little bit of leeway. We told her, we'd like for you to leave in the next 30 days at the beginning of such and such month. And she said, okay, well, the mom said, I'm going to need a couple more months to find a house and to buy a new house. So we said, okay, we'll work with you there. So we gave her 3 more months.
And she's still paying the entire amount, right?
Yep. And that was another thing. We didn't want to burn any bridge because they had been religious payers for the longest time. So, that speaks a lot. They're paying their bills.
Okay. They've been religious what? Oh, payers. Okay.
Payers, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think that they have something to do with the church or something like what?
No.
Okay. Okay. So they had been paying you, and they gave you a deposit as well, probably,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
And so they probably wanted their deposit back.
Yes.
Okay. And so you finally get them out after 3 months, and then how is the returning of the deposit? How'd that all go?
There there was some debate about trying to keep some of the deposit because they let cats come in the house and things like that. There were a few things that we could have picked on. There's like some stray cats around the cul-de-sac here, and they kind of adopted them, and we could have picked on a few things, but really, and I've wondered if this is why they gave us such a hard time there at the end. But I just decided to give them back the full deposit because I didn't want any more drama with them. I was thinking, all right, if it's only their deposit was $1,200, if it's only $1,200, I would pay that just to get them out of here cleanly.
Okay.
So we gave it all back.
Did you give it back to them before they moved out?
No, when they moved out.
Yeah. And I mean, what about, like a deposit goes to cover other things though, too, like cleaning fees and like changing the locks, and you didn't assess them for any of those things?
Now we had a different clause in our lease about cleaning, and I think it was either they could provide their own cleaning service and present me with a receipt, and it had to cost so much, and then if I ended up hiring the cleaning service, that I would just remove that from their deposit. So yeah, that's something I forgot about. I forget if it was $200 or $300. So instead of returning the full 1,200, I think we returned 1,000 or 900 or something. So we did end up taking professional cleaning service out of the.
Yeah, we always just do that on our own. We're like, we don't assume the tenant's going to do any kind of cleaning that's the level that we're going to want.
Right.
And our next tenant is not going to want, oh, the previous tenant cleaned it. Like we want them to say it was professionally cleaned. Like that's something I want to hear as well. Okay, so they get out, you give them the deposit back, they're out of there, and then the new people come in. And is that the people that were paying $1,250 per month for rent then?
Yeah. So when they moved out, when the daughter and the mom moved out, they were paying $1,200. So then in between that and the new people that we currently have in it, we remodeled it. So we painted walls.
Here. Let me pull this up here again, and we'll look at, and I know that these are older pictures, right? And you've done some new stuff to it as well, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So that's the kitchen, the island. That's great. Granite countertop. Did you guys change the countertops?
Nope, countertops are still the same, but you can see the wallpaper on the ceiling. We tore that wallpaper down, painted the ceiling white, and then that blue carpet in there. I don't know who puts carpet in a kitchen, but that's now vinyl wood floors.
Okay.
This carpet was kind of stained, and that blue's a little bit outdated, so we just went back with a gray carpet in this room.
That's good. You want it to be like neutral tones. So there was carpet in the kitchen?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I've never seen that before. That's so strange. I wonder why. And by the way, they allowed cats into the place. Like that's a big deal. That's like smoking in the place. No offense. Like I like animals as much as anybody else, but especially with you living next door to them, the audacity, right?
I know. Yeah. There were some things we probably could have been. It's all been a learning situation. We probably could have been a little firmer on that, because I definitely saw the cat in and out of the back door at different times, like if I was over there raking leaves. But again, it was a friend, so I was like, we'll let it slide. But
that'd be hard to live next door to him and see that, to like muster up the whole confrontation every time. It's like one thing if you're a manager of an employee and you have to go, confront them about something. It's like when you're home, you're like, it's like your sanctuary. It's like your place where you can just kind of let it, just kind of, relax. And you've got to be kind of on guard living next door to someone like that, right?
That's true. And I would say that's one of the downfalls to living in a duplex next to your tenant. It's great financially and everything else. But yeah, when you're at home, you are kind of also working a little bit. Like I've got to respond to text messages from the current neighbor. She's got, some issue in her bathroom, some leak or something like that. Well, then I'll run over there. Now, if you're into the landlord world and you want to be doing that and you're okay with doing the maintenance yourself or even paying somebody else, luckily I can do a lot of the maintenance myself, then it's really convenient that they're only right next door and you don't have to drive across town.
Right.
But you do also just kind of have to be aware that, okay, something could potentially go wrong next door and you're basically on call for them all the time.
See, I'd almost I like your situation, but I'd almost hire a property management company because I would pretend like I was a fellow tenant, just like the neighbor next door. And they would deal with the property management company and have no idea that the owner was living next door. I don't know. That might it might be a little sneaky, but at least they're not calling me, and at least I keep my eye on the property, and they would have no idea that I owned it. I don't know. But then you could have a relationship with them, and then you can be friends with them and not feel like there's this weird dynamic between you guys here.
And I think that's definitely a great idea. With us right now, it's a little more money motivated. Like at some point when we're a little bit better on our feet and we feel like we can afford a management company, then absolutely, I think that's the way to go. But for right now, we're willing to take that stress just to be able to stretch every little bit of profit out of this property that we can.
Right. And I did that too for 15 years or so with my tenants. And now I have a property management company. Man, I tell you what, it's wonderful. I don't deal with anything. They just put money in my account every month. I absolutely love it. Okay. So we've got, here's the unit. And then is this the other side? Oh, here's the backyard. Is that right? Okay. So the backyard there, and that's where the cat would go through this door right here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you get, and I mean, it looks like a great property. I mean, it looks like a really good, opportunity for you guys. So the new tenant's in there and they're now paying $1,400 a month and your mortgage is $1,800. So $400 a month. I mean, you would never find anything to rent for $400 a month.
Right.
They're building your equity. You pay $290. And according to Zillow, of course, this might be not completely right, but you've already gone up by over $100,000 on your asset in 2 years.
Yep. And I hope that's true. That would be a great number if that is if that's a true number. So yeah, on top of what we put into it off of our mortgage, then if we were to sell right now, we'd get that profit of 100 and whatever that is, 130, and then plus we'd get back everything that we've already put into it as well. Most of what we put into it.
How much have you paid to renovate the property? What did that cost you?
We put about 20 grand in renovations. We redid the master on our side, and that was around 8. And then the other side, all the pictures that we just looked through there, new floors, new paint. We kind of changed some of the walls, some certain things like that, enhanced their laundry room. That was another 8 to maybe 9. So looking at 16 or 17, and then we've had a few things go out as well. We had to replace the air conditioner. So I know that's not considered a renovation, but it's still a cost that you factor in. So
very expensive. Yeah.
Luckily, it's just the outdoor condenser. So it's $2,000. We had a buddy, he bought it, I think for $2,000, he installed it for like another $600. So,
okay, man, but still, I mean, even with those, did you, so the renovation, the things that you did to make the property nicer, did that increase the potential rent, or was there some reason for it? Or do you just feel like it just needs to be done, we're going to do it? Or do you feel like, man, this is an investment to get more rental income?
Yeah, two things. Definitely an investment to get more rental income, but also when we go to sell it in the future, and I don't know how long we plan to live here, but when we go to sell it in the future, it's going to bring more money if it's renovated. I mean, the pictures that we're looking at here, the purple carpet and the beige walls, I mean, that's really not going to scream anything great to somebody.
Right.
It's fairly outdated. All that carpet there in the room with the fireplace, we put wood vinyl in there. So it just looks a lot better. So for resale value and to to get higher cost out of the tenants or higher rent out of the tenants. Now, if you do that math though, $8,000 and we're only charging, was it 250 more than what we were charging for that $8,000? I mean, it would take, 4 years or something to actually pay for the renovations. So in our case, we weren't just thinking about, okay, how long will it take for the tenants to pay for these renovations? We're also thinking about how much more resale are we going to get out of this thing based on these renovations.
And you want to sell it at some point? Why not just hold it forever?
That is a thought too, and we've talked about that as well. Something like what's happening right now, it's a seller's market. I mean, it is a good time to sell if you've got something to sell. So we've
Yeah.
talked about, what if we just jump ship right now and took that $100,000 that we saw on Zillow there, took that as profit and invested it into something else when the market goes back down, try to play the market game a little bit. We've talked about that, but I think it's a 30-year mortgage right now. So I think, and I've heard from a lot of different real estate folks, that you can hold on to these things, and they are extremely profitable to hold on to, because it's like your little savings account over here. It's your cash cow. If you move somewhere else, if we move back to Texas, if we move anywhere, we can keep this. We can hire a property management company, and then it's just over here, its own little self-generating savings account, and doing its thing. It pays for itself. You're not having to pay for the interest.
Right.
That's always a concern if you're taking out a loan or something. It's okay, there's interest involved. Well, if you've got somebody paying the note, then you don't have to worry about the interest.
Right.
And therefore, it doesn't matter how long the mortgage is, if it's 15 or 30 year. In fact, you should stretch it out to the 30 year if you've got renters in.
And even more so, you have a renter paying $1,400 a month right now. If you had another renter paying $1,400 a month, you'd be making $2,800 a month, and then you'd only have $1,000 a month. Like, you'd be making $1,000 worth of passive income that the bank would allow you to use to qualify for another house if you wanted to. You now have income producing. To me, that little duplex is an ATM machine, man. That thing's going to spit out cash for you for as long as you have it. To me, I don't know why there would be really an argument to sell it unless you needed the equity for something else, like immediately, forever, right? Or
and I'm with you. I think the goal down the road would be to take the money from this and put it into another home, and just kind of start building that portfolio, having multiple of them, and then that could one day become my whole job. Right now I've got a day job working for an electric company. Well, I'd much rather own 15 or 20 houses and then kind of get to pick my own schedule. Like, you've got your own fires that you're going to have to deal with if you're a landlord and you're owning 20 homes, but you can still pick your own vacation days. You don't necessarily have to answer to a boss. You've got a bunch of tenants that you may have to answer to, but it's a little bit of a different dynamic than your typical 8 to 5 day job.
Dude, it's financial freedom.
Yeah.
You get to do what you want every day. Like, I mean, that's like, I mean, that to me is like, my whole class is based on that. It's like, not to be dependent on the job, the job, because it's like, you want to be able to go do what you want to be able to do every day, regardless of what the income level is or whatever. So the 17-year-old that's sitting in my house right now, or my house, sitting in my classroom right now, and they're listening to they're watching this, and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go to A&M, I'm going to graduate, I'm going to get a job. Do you think they should, when they graduate from college and they get their job, do you think they should go buy a property right away, or should they wait? Do you think they should buy a duplex? Do you think they should buy a single family home? What would be your advice to the 17-year-old sitting in my classroom?
For us, it took us 2, maybe 3 years to save up enough money that we could buy this place. So that'd be the only reason that I would say to wait, is because not everybody's got enough money straight out of college to buy something like this. I know that I've got friends in college that they were able to save. They had jobs in college, things like that, and they were able to buy a little bit quicker. But it took us a little bit to build up a savings in order to do so. And I would definitely say, yes, buy a duplex. I've been trying to tell all of my friends. Some of them are being stubborn, though. They want the single family home, but one of us is going to be a little bit better off in the future based off of this move than the other one. If they're sinking $2,000 into a mortgage every month and they're getting no income out of it, and they're paying a complete note, I mean, they're not going to have near as much financial freedom that we will with our note just being down at $400 a month. So,
I mean, you're looking at a property that costs $280,000, and it's generating $2,800, it could be potentially generating $2,800 in rental income. That's amazing. That is like the single family home that you buy for, because our properties right now are 280,000. We have several in Keller that are like, and they generate 1,900 in rental income. So a duplex with 2 doors, you're going to get double your rent. Man, I mean, good for you guys. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Michael, man, thanks so much for being part of our class today. Really appreciate all the information.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Brian, and good luck to everyone.